Well, thank you so much for joining our first ever KMRE 88.3 FM on-air pledge drive. Really appreciate your time, Janice. Thanks for being on the show.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit more about Island Bakery. That's the name of your business, right?
Yes, it's a home-based business that's licensed through the state's cottage food program. And I started it almost 10 years ago. And it grew out of, because we have very limited food service out here. And I was retired and then not retired and then retired again and looking for something to keep me busy. And I started making bread for us. And then it was just as easy to make a loaf for my neighbors and then for more neighbors. And pretty soon it grew into this, it's sort of like a subscription bakery. I have an email list of subscribers, and I send them an email with the bread I'm baking for the week, and they email me with the orders and pick up on Fridays. It's totally word of mouth. I don't have a social media presence, and I don't really want one because it's just me. So I have to keep it within my capabilities.
And you're really just serving Lummi Island, right?
Yes. Yes, I've had some off-islanders that want to subscribe and buy, but it never really works out because they have to get out. I'm not taking it to town, so they have to get out here to pick up their order. And, Friday night ferry lines can be really long and people in town forget. And if somebody on the island forgets to pick up their order, I know where they live, so I can go rattle their cage a little bit.
Right. So you're kind of a community baker then.
Yes, it is. It's a community-supported bakery. And so obviously we're out here, it's fairly rural, and we rely on the ferry for getting back and forth. And while it's generally pretty easy to go back and forth, it's a trip to town. So it's the ferry ride and a drive into town and a lot of shopping. And so in between that, there is a small market here, but it's pretty small, and just people here are pretty self-reliant for things like that. So trying to produce on the island just for islanders is my goal.
Your business, it didn't get started during COVID, did it?
No, I actually started before COVID and had built up a good number of regular clientele. And the way I do bread pickup is there's a little wine shop on the island that does wine tastings on Friday and Saturday. And so I started pouring the wine tasting for the owner, and then people would come in and pick up bread. And then when COVID hit, of course, that all shut down. And so there's a big parking lot near the ferry landing. So we moved there, and people would bring their lawn chairs and their own libations, and we would hang out. We would mark out 6-foot distances, and we would hang out. And I had a table set up where I could set the bread on for people to pick up and a pot for them to put money in, so we could all be remote yet still hang out on Friday evenings.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you think community is important and some of the things you might be doing for in and around the community?
Well, obviously community is very important in every place, not just here where we're fairly rural and reliant on everybody, but that is important here. We don't get a lot of services from the county, and the ferry shuts down at midnight, and it doesn't start up again till 5:30 a.m. on weekdays and 7 on weekends. And we're just actually tomorrow heading into dry dock, and we won't have a ferry for a month. We'll just have a passenger ferry, not a car ferry. And so it's really important that we know our neighbors and our community, and we're there for each other if there's a need. And, this community really does that. It embodies what I think we would like to see in communities, that no matter where you've come from, people here will step up to help if there's a need.
Where you see access to local media and community radio in particular as a method to help, grow community. Do you see those things as being related at all?
I do. I think it's really important. Certainly, our local print journalism is benefiting from small, independent print papers like Cascadia Daily or Whatcom Watch or Salish Current, because I think we've really been let down by the Bellingham Herald. And I think it's important. We have an ongoing issue out here right now with issues with the ferry. And there's not a good mechanism for local citizens to stay in touch with what the county council or local government is doing without some sort of local media presence, whether it is the radio or it is the print journalism. And, that's really hard then for people to know what's going on with government. Without something like that. I do believe in good government, and I think the Charter Review Commission is a really important aspect of that. And then it also comes down to people need to know that's going on, and there needs to be information shared on that.
Yes, absolutely. Without access to accurate information, how can you have a democracy? You really can't.
And I think that's important too. And my background before I started baking, I am an attorney. I'm retired. I don't practice law anymore, but I did for a long time. And mostly people with low incomes. I was a public defender and worked for law advocates doing a low income tenant clinic. And, it's important for people to understand and to become part of the community as best they can for stuff like that, too.
Thank you so much, Janice. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.